Seeing this horse makes you delete people by Dr. Bob. Who is this Dr. Bob? I've never heard of this Dr. Bob. Anyways, let's see. Let's see. Certified doctor. I'm just kidding. I got no idea. This is apparently about SCP. I have no idea. We're going to look at it. Also, please consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate it.
The psychologist feels herself shaking as she walks down the prison hall. She's heard the stories. He's one of the deadliest killers in U.S. history. His victim toll is well over 100, the majority killed in just over a week, with his bare hands. Nobody knows why he did it exactly. Of course, there are plenty of theories. Maybe it was resentment. Several of the victims of his bloody rampage were family members after all. But that still didn't explain the other 40. Strangers. People the killer had never seen before, never spoken to, until he wrapped his hands around their screaming, shaking bodies. Soon enough, she reaches the end of the hallway. She knows that he's on the other side of that door, his hands cuffed to the table, his ankles shackled. He'll be dead 24 hours from now.
Where's the horse? It's that horse. Where is the horse? Where the horse at? Where's the horse? Where is it?
Lethal injection. But somehow, she feels as though if anyone on this accursed earth could somehow survive that unsurvivable experience, it would be the devil behind this door. No more games. She opens the door and sees him, a mountain of muscle tucked into a garish orange jumpsuit. His eyes are piercing, and yet so sad, so tired. More than malicious, he looks so profoundly exhausted. She's interviewed killers before, serial killers even. It comes with the territory of being a working criminal psychologist, but this man is the first to ever frighten her.
Johnny Sins, is that you? Is it you? Yo, Johnny, is it you?
Still, she steels herself and sits on the chair across from him, trying to mask her terror out of a greater fear that his predator instinct might smell it on her. In the well over a decade that this man has been incarcerated, he's scarcely spoken a word, except when it's been entirely functional. He's never courted the media or tried to make himself seem more sympathetic or frightening to the press. He's never shared a single thing that's going on inside that strange, broken mind of his. But that didn't mean he'd been well behaved. In fact, he'd killed more of his fellow inmates than any other prisoner in American history, inciting a riot that left 50 dead, most of them by his own hand.
I got no idea, I'll be real. I got no idea. This is what the kids watch nowadays?
It was never anything as logical as the petty spats of men bored to madness inside the clink or money and power-motivated gang violence. His attacks were always at night, after days of contemplative silence. He'd smash through the bars of his cell like King Kong and decimate anyone who got in his way, leaving carnage in his wake. A true monster. By now, the psychologist thinks, he's spent 6 years in solitary without complaint, locked in by special reinforced doors and walls, the kind you'd need heavy artillery to break down. He hasn't said a word in all that time, save for the occasional late-night ranting and raving. So why, with
Is this like he doesn't remember anything of the things he does? Is it like that? Because anything else doesn't make sense, bro. He would have gotten the death penalty a while ago.
the needle so imminent, is he choosing to bear it all now? A last-minute attack of conscience? None of it seems to make sense to the psychologist. She's here to do her job, so she smiles and turns on her tape recorder, ready to listen. And the killer clears his throat and speaks in a shockingly soft, even-toned voice. "I never meant to hurt anyone. I want to make that clear first," he says. "I don't have a cruel bone in my body. I really don't. It's why all of this has been so hard for me." This isn't what she was.
I've seen like the same clip of like ketchup splashing at the wall for like the 4th time now. I need a new clip. Jeez.
Expecting. When serial killers normally choose to pour their heart out while the Reaper looms, it's often a litany of complaints. My parents let me down, society let me down, all my victims had it coming, they provoked me, tempted me, and so on and so forth. But this strange tone gives her pause for a moment, until she responds, "Then why did you hurt all those people?" She notices his huge body tense up at the thought. "You're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you," he says. "I'm not crazy." She nods slowly, trying to soothe him. "You're probably not going to tell me anything I haven't heard before."
Crazy? I was once crazy. Yeah, okay. I think I know where this is going. I think I understand. He's not in control when this happens. That's practically what it is.
She replies. The killer gives a sad smile and sighs. "I wouldn't be so sure. You see, it all started with a horse." Years back, the killer had been a normal man. He'd had a wife he loved, kids he cherished, a job that he found challenging.
He looks normal. They all actually, with this art style, none of them look normal. With this art style, none of them look normal. Not a single one. Nope, definitely not.
Yet fulfilling. He had a house with a mortgage he could manage and an Audi with only 10,000 miles on the clock. He was, by all accounts, living the exact kind of idyllic, white picket fence life that all the sitcoms and lifestyle magazines had sold his generation. Sometimes he felt like one of the few people who didn't go about life racked with anxiety. Things were really just pretty swell. Except for one funny little thing. He'd been a lifelong sleepwalker. It never seemed like it would be a
Where's this going? Do not fuck the horse, I beg of you.
problem. Sometimes he'd wake up in the living room or the kitchen and realize he'd somehow made his way down there in the night. It was a funny little quirk, an amusing story to tell his sales clients when he needed an icebreaker, some interesting detail to humanize himself. He never figured it'd be a path to anyone getting killed, until he saw that horse. The man who would later be known as the killer was having one of his stock dreams.
So he's killing people in his sleep. Is that what it is? Hello, fellow. Hi, fellow gay.
He was standing in a whimsical candy land, a Willy Wonka paradise, chewing on a giant marshmallow. Though his higher self would be able to tell he was likely just drooling into his pillow, he was just enjoying the fantasy. Until his dream suddenly received a bizarre intruder. At first he thought it was a horse galloping towards him across the chocolate frosting dales, but no. It was two people dressed as a horse, decked out in a...
What the fuck? Can we go back? Can we go back to, when SCPs were actually horrifying and creepy? Thank you. That would be pretty cool. Thank you. I'd love that, actually. Not just, two people dressed as a Huns. I.e., you are gay. Okay. First of all, stop rhyming. Second of all, I like women. Half of women have their DNAs from their father, which is a man. So, at least half gay.
Shoddy costume made out of yellow fabric and painted in various eye-searing colors.
"Hey, buckaroo, maybe try a smaller marshmallow."
It said in a kind of strange, nasal hillbilly cadence.
"That one is way too big for your little small baby mouth."
What a strange thing to say. It wasn't even really a comprehensible insult. Who's insecure about the size of their mouth? Sharks, maybe? But for reasons unknown, it really got to him. He didn't just take issue with what this fake horse said, he felt enraged by it. He needed to grab a hold of that thing and smash its stupid fake face. But as he tried to chase the horse across the Candy Kingdom, it just kept running, laughing at him, still making bizarre insults.
So he just dreamt about the horse taunted him, and then he started killing people in his sleep. Is that what it is?
Like asking whether he got his hair from the hair store, or saying that he'd ripped all the pockets out of his jeans and sold them to the Yakuza, then spent all the money on pachinko machines. And every little scrap of surreal nonsense sent the rage boiling up again. And that gave him the push to speed up and close the distance on this joker of a horse. He leaped onto the thing's body like a savage beast, pounding at it with his fists and tearing viciously with his fingers. He'd pull it apart like a piñata, He'd rip the stuffing out of the worthless thing.
He would kill somebody. I'm saying his wife, as that was very obvious. Okay, so he deleted his wife. Understood.
Pitched, keening wail of pure agony broke the man from his trance. He wasn't in the Candy Kingdom anymore. He was kneeling in the familiar streets of his hometown, and he wasn't beating down that worthless dream horse, but something that used to be human. Something that used to be family. The blood on his skin shone black in the moonlight. The street was littered with corpses, and as he came to the realization that he'd made those corpses with his own two terrible, desecrated hands, all he could do was scream. And the most frightening part is, he's far from the only one that this literal nightmare scenario has happened to. Have you ever woken up feeling legitimately angry at someone because of something they did to you in a dream?
No, I'm not a woman. Sorry, girls, but it's true. Your boyfriend may cheat in your dream. That doesn't mean he actually cheats IRL. Calm down. It's all good.
It's a disconcerting feeling to know that fantasies cooked up by your own mind can have such an impact on your waking hours. It's this exact mechanism that SCP-8067, also known as the Fightmare, preys upon to bizarre and frightening effect. The phenomenon is extremely statistically rare and has only, thus far, affected people in America, Canada, and Uzbekistan, though both of the people who had
Why Uzbekistan? Why Uzbekistan? What's so special about... What do these three countries have in common? What?
their experience in Uzbekistan were either American or Canadian tourists. There is no discernible external trigger for the phenomenon, but one commonality is that people who are sleepwalkers seem far more likely to be affected. The first stage of the anomaly will occur when the victim is in NREM, or non-rapid eye movement sleep. They will experience an extremely distressing dream for exactly 23 minutes and 30 seconds, and during this period, they will engage in an anomalous somnambulistic state that is impossible to break out of. Sleepwalking can be dangerous enough as it is, but these sleepwalkers take on particularly dangerous anomalous traits, enhancing their physical abilities and their capacity to cause harm as a result significantly. Some of these strange effects include suddenly being able to lift 10 times your own body weight, being able to run up to speeds of 120 kilometers per hour, being able to chew through brick and concrete, and being able to digest inert materials. You're not invulnerable in this state, however, and
So it just makes you literally shit bricks at one point? What are these SCPs at this point? They're really, really silly, bro. They're really silly.
several of the people afflicted by SCP-8067 have been killed after accidentally running into traffic. What could possibly be causing all this? Well, according to the Foundation's research, the common denominator in these cases is a manifestation of a garish yellow pantomime horse, which is to say, two people wearing a cheap theatrical horse costume, with one playing the front pair of legs and the other playing the back pair. This horse will begin to heckle and insult the victim, driving them into a state of murderous rage. The particularly strange thing is that the insults are simply too esoteric.
So it's essentially just a horse that makes people go crazy. It's just really weird and goofy. I can't even take it seriously. It's so goofy. It's just two people in a horse costume.
To even find all that insulting, in a uniquely lol so random kind of way. These insults include, they'll never let you in the breads and cereals group. You call that?
And why even so angry? These aren't even serious jokes.
An irrigation method? And even, what's wrong, Sonny? Not man enough to alphabetize your organs? All said in a high-pitched voice with a thick southern drawl, a voice described by some victims as weasel-like. I don't know about all of you, but I'm feeling murderously angry already. One of the more severe cases of people affected by this anomaly is a 48-year-old man who spent the better part of his life on death row before submitting himself as a voluntary D-class to the SCP Foundation. He was a strange man, having committed a truly horrific killing spree where he murdered 15 people in an altered state. That altered state, as it turned out, was being influenced by the Fightmare. He, however, is just one of the 10 people afflicted by the SCP-8067 issue that are currently in SCP Foundation containment. Since he's been admitted into containment, the rate at which he's experienced visitations from the Fightmare have tripled. Let's take a look at the data from the 9 other unfortunate souls who've encountered
Wait, so he's like seeing it more and more often, the weird, haunts?
this nightmarish horse and lived to tell the tale. One 63-year-old militant libertarian was visited by the equine menace in his isolated ranch, where he'd gathered a huge number of automatic weapons to defend his sovereign citizen lifestyle. The result was him firing off over 5,000 rounds while inside his house, trying to kill the horse that existed only in his own mind, and getting him arrested in the aftermath. His consortium of Don't Tread on Me associates have since started a campaign to prove that the government sicked the Fightmare on this man to discredit him, a campaign the Foundation has only been partially successful in suppressing. A 32-year-old female was arrested after causing a 28-car pileup on the freeway, which is honestly quite an optimistic result, given that she was literally asleep while laughing. She was doing this because she believed she was in pursuit of the Fightmare, which had stolen the Pope-mobile, a colloquial name for the special armored vehicle driven by the Pope during public tours. The Fightmare had, needless to say, not stolen the Pope-mobile. A 12-year-old male who lived on a farm
Then a 12-year-old boy? That's interesting. That's very interesting. Donald Duck removed a video that depicted the Obamas as apes. That's interesting.
was able to remain a functional victim of SCP-8067. He'd been frequently visited by the Fightmare since he was 5 years old, and in his nightmarish episodes, he's tried to devour multiple cows on the farm.
Yo! Bro's just like out here for the real beef. Like uncooked, just like straight up the entire cow. That's crazy.
Perhaps believing in his dreaming state that they were the horse. His family had kept him sequestered away, but his methods of Fightmare mitigation have been used to inform the Foundation's own methodology for containment of SCP-8067. A 24-year-old woman accidentally fell from a 5th-story window while sleepwalking during what must have been an intense battle with the Fightmare.
Those saw some serious honkers again.
But even severely injured, she was able to bite the necks of the paramedics who came to save her. Due to her injuries, she's in a permanent comatose state, which, ironically, makes her much more dangerous, as she's permanently in her powered-up dream state, meaning the Foundation needs to keep her restrained at all times. A 31-year-old male's rampage was even more strange and deeply embarrassing. During the violent and insane spree, after attacking and beating the living hell out of a large number of people, he attempted to have, well, let's just say, biblical relations.
Oh, what? He was having, the fun stuff with a car. A car? But then again, we have watched people who are into cars, so there's that.
With the tailpipe of his 2015 Dodge Charger. Use your imagination. All we can tell you is that in his first debriefing interview with the Foundation, he said, quote, "I realize I have no way of proving this, but I promise that I didn't do anything the horse's wife didn't explicitly ask me to. I don't."
Oh. Oh. Well, I said at the beginning, do not fuck the horse. I guess that's over.
Often say this, but I really wish more of this file was redacted. A 40-year-old female Wisconsin trucker drove her semi-truck into a rest area after falling asleep at the wheel. She claimed that doing this, despite destroying the rest area, allowed her to kill the Fightmare. However, killing the Fightmare did not stop it from manifesting in her future dreams, so the being truly does seem impossible to defeat in any permanent way. How delightful. A 30-year-old Navy man sailing on an important U.S. combat vessel went to sleep while at sea and used the ship's weapons to, by his own telling, fire at the Fightmare. Instead, however, his weapons fired upon a passing Chinese vessel. This almost caused an international incident that could have plunged the world into all-out war, but the Foundation...
The horse almost caused World War III. Absolute cinema.
intervened and was able to prevent escalation. In his debriefing interview with the Foundation, he said, quote, "Look, dreaming or not, I know what I was shooting at. That horse is absolutely a terrorist." I'm at least somewhat inclined to agree with the poor fellow at this point. A 19-year-old male is a particularly unique case. During his initial SCP-8067 experience, he went on a rampage and destroyed his entire apartment complex, leading to him being secured and contained by the SCP Foundation. That's when something odd happened. During his next SCP-8067 experience while in Foundation containment, he began insulting the Fightmare back. He unleashed all the bile and venom
Wait, he insulted it back, and what did that do? Did it, like, solve the problem? Fit the solution? Like, did it fix the problem? I'm curious.
you'd expect from a disaffected 19-year-old, with a tongue sharpened to a lethal edge after a decade spent trash-talking in Call of Duty lobbies. These brutal, paint-peeling, grandma scandalizing insults caused the Fightmare to weep so hard that it exploded, and has not since manifested in his dreams again.
So you just need to call the damn horse gamer words? Just call it gamer words and it just explodes?
A luxury not shared by the woman who ran it over with a semi-truck. The Foundation is looking into this as a potential method to fight back against the entity, and is consulting with various professional insult comics for advice. And a 38-year-old man almost caused a mass tragedy when he engaged in a SCP-8...
In a plane, huh? In a plane, huh? You know what I'm thinking, I think.
067 incident while on a commercial flight. Thankfully, other people on the plane were able to band together and subdue him before safely landing the plane in Newark, New Jersey. But the damage had already been done. Many on board never disembarked, having been murdered by the bare hands of the Fightmare's latest victim. Since being taken into Foundation containment, he's tried to deprive himself of sleep to prevent an incident like this happening again. With the cruel irony being, it's causing him to very quickly lose his mind. Despite the abject silliness of a pantomime horse making nonsensical insults to you in your dreams, the results are undeniably something straight out of a nightmare. Due to the highly unpredictable and often dangerous nature of SCP-8067, it's been given the Keter containment class, and as such, has extensive and complicated containment procedures. SCP-8067-A, the aforementioned people affected by the phenomenon, are kept in standard humanoid containment cells at Site-59, seeing as they pose no risk.
But, like, then the question becomes, what do you even do? Like, there's going to be more and more people being affected by it, right? So, like, what do you even do?
While they're awake. When they're asleep is sadly a different story. They're made to sleep physically confined in special reinforced beds with a built-in EKG monitor, and the Foundation makes a point to record their dreams upon waking for signs of SCP-8067 intrusion. As for security in the rooms of the subjects to try to prevent SCP-8067 incidents, we have Protocol 58 Girion, a series of precautions taken to scare off the monstrous Oniric horse. These precautions are as follows. There are to be at least 6 small cardboard...
Haven't they just tried insulting it back at this point? If one works insulting it back, why not insult it back again?
...circles with the words, "Horse Trap," written legibly upon the top-facing side placed around the room's floor, to deter the horse's movements. 10 grams of salt are to be placed in a protective circle around the bed, with the salt container left nearby, with a label that says, "Powdered potassium horse explodinate. Warning, makes horses explode on contact."
I don't know about that one, Chief.
Another cunning ruse, you see, an act of psychological warfare against the horse. And of course, there's the pièce de résistance, a small plastic Godzilla toy, perpetually facing towards the door, with a plastic knife and fork glued to his stubby Godzilla arms, and a Level 1 Foundation name tag that reads, "Jeremy, Devourer of Horses." You may be thinking,
Jeremy, Devourer of Horses. Who made this SCP? Who made it? I swear to God.
This containment procedure isn't nearly as involved as the huge tank of high-strength acid required to contain SCP-682, or the complex series of fluid barriers and geometric shapes meant to counteract the barrier phasing abilities of SCP-106. But you should be aware that what I just explained to you is the 16th iteration of the Protocol 58 Girion. SCP-8067 consistently gets wise to the Foundation's attempts to keep it out, and so new versions of the containment procedures need to be devised. Foundation plants in all levels of government and law enforcement closely monitor people convicted of violent crimes, in case any of them mention dream horse-motivated rage as the driving force behind their criminal acts. These people are to be discreetly transferred to Site-59 for questioning and potential containment if necessary. And any mentions of the Fightmare itself are to be suppressed immediately, given that not only could widespread knowledge of the entity lead to false positives, it could also be used as a fake excuse by criminals in order to avoid consequences for their actions. Web crawlers are often utilized to hunt down and eliminate mentions of the Fightmare online, on the rare occasions that it pops up. As this is one of the more recently discovered anomalies, it also has a risk and disruption class. For the Fightmare, the risk class is warning, meaning it's capable of causing at least moderate damage to those affected and the people around them, though the victims of the Fightmare might contest that moderate is underselling it. The disruption class is Kennic, meaning that its effects could potentially extend towards the size of an average city, making it moderately difficult to contain. But how can one ever truly contain their own dreams, the wild and untamed vistas of the self-conscious? And if, when staring over the blurry green hills of your dreams tonight, you see a certain horse galloping towards you, we hope you can keep a better grip on yourself than the people we've discussed today. Check out the Dr. Bob Patreon and become a junior researcher today. Now go and watch.
That's pretty much it. So, in other words, to simplify this whole story, people who have nightmares, right? Mostly, right? To simplify this whole thing, okay? To simplify this entire recap. People who are essentially from Canada and the US, right? Not Uzbekistan, because Uzbekistan was people who are from the United States or Canada have dreams with a horse. That horse starts insulting them. They go crazy off of the horse, and while doing that, just destroy their entire surroundings. And then end up in jail. Or at the SCP Foundation. The horse has a weasel-like voice. It makes fun of them. That's just very, very odd and oddly specific. I feel like... Can we go back to SCP so they're actually scary? Like, actually terrifying? Oh no, it's a goofy-looking horse making people angry. And the solution likely is just to insult it back so it disappears. I feel like there was a better solution to this. Oh, and it disproportionately affects people who sleepwalk. So there's that. There is that. And we've got like multiple people, and it doesn't technically stop, and they have to technically contain more and more people. So I wonder where this would be going over a large period of time. Anyways, that was interesting. Yeah, please consider liking and subscribing.